Hello everybody. For the next few videos you will be watching, it will be the setup of a 40-gallon breeder that I got at PetSmart. I thought it would be something that everybody has been waiting for, to see how to set up the stand, tank, everything with instructions, and that will be coming up on this video, so stay tuned. Hello everybody, this is Dr. Novak again. What you're looking at is the parts out of the box from the stand. And I am going to go step by step on how to put together this stand, the way I put it together, and hopefully this will help you. Because I'm trying to keep things with this particular aquarium on the cheap. What you're looking at here is the stand for a 40-gallon breeder. I got this at PetSmart, and for most people this is what I've seen they've been putting up, smaller aquariums, so that's what I decided to do. Make this something that's more in reach with what everybody else is getting. This is a 36 by 18 by 16 aquarium. It's considered to be a 40-gallon breeder, but it's actually more than 40 gallons. And right here, as you can see, here's the aquarium taken out of the box. Actually, it came in very good shape. There were no dents, scratches. Everything that was in the box was wrapped up in plastic, as you can see, in case you've never bought one of these. I found out that all glass aquariums is no longer more, or Aquarium has bought out all glass aquariums. In case any of you out there have bought all glass aquariums and enjoyed those particular aquariums, they are now owned by Aquarium, and so they make all the aquariums. So there isn't a lot of choices out there for people who are looking for inexpensive aquariums. You can get a 75-gallon, you can get a 40-gallon at PetSmart. Anyhow, the whole stand seems to be pretty straightforward. All the screws are 5mm. The heads are, so they give you a wrench, as you can see in the background there, but I'm just using one of my 5mm wrenches, which will come in handy for the screws. They give you all the screws. They also give you the washers. And so all the screws get a washer, and there was no parts missing. Now that little black pack that you see up on top, there's 4 of these little cushions inside there with the sticky on one side, and they're probably about 60 thousandths thick and about 750 thousandths in diameter. I would not use those, and I'll show you why. They give them to you, but I'd highly recommend that you forego even bothering with those particular parts that come in the box. Now each screw I put a little bit of grease on. This is going to help because this is a manufactured steel stand, and that little bit of grease is going to help you get your screws inside of the stand a little easier, and it will help so things don't seize up in the future in case anything gets wet. So the first thing you want to do is add 1 screw. There's a leg, as you can see on top here, and there's two braces on bottom, and of course we got this top brace. That's what the aquarium will go on. So the first thing I did is put these 2 top screws in to hold the top brace for the aquarium, but I did not tighten them down. They're loose, but they're holding everything together. Then the next thing you want to do after that is do the other side with only 1 screw, but you want them to stay loose. It's because you're going to flip it upside down. So the top of the stand is actually going to be on the ground, and you'll finish up the entire stand upside down. So as you can see, I put the tank upside down, the tank stand upside down, and I finally inserted all the screws. Believe it or not, it was a little wobbly because it's not absolutely perfect for this metal stand. Remember, this is a $80 to $100 stand, metal stand, and I guess you get what you pay for unless you wish to pay $1,300 or almost close to $1,000 for a real good stand. But here's what the stand looks like. You can see it's not very flat, and this is what you got to work around. That's why I said those little black rings that I showed you in the other photograph, they're not going to work at all. So now once all the screws are in, I turned the tank over and I put the leveling feet in, adjusted them on the garage floor, and pretty well the stand became stable. But as you can see, it's not a very flat stand. Now I can understand why a lot of these tanks can wind up cracking or twisting, because we're going to have to solve that problem. I'm going to show you how I solved it. What you're looking at here is a black on black foam board. You can get this on the internet right from Amazon, 20 by 30 by 3/16 of an inch. There's 10 sheets in there, and this is what we are going to use to put on the bottom of the aquarium on the stand. This is the same foam board that they use on SCA aquariums, and where they use a foam board and then they put the rimless aquarium on top of foam board to take up any unevenness. Even though the aquarium stand seems to be very even, it really isn't, and so you put the foam board on to help protect the aquarium from twisting and cracking. So this is what the foam board looks like, and the sticker you see on there comes off real easily. You peel it off and it won't hurt the foam board at all. Like I said, you can buy this off of Amazon. It's like, I think it's like $30 for 10 sheets. It's not real cheap, but it works wonders for leveling out an aquarium. Now I took the foam board and I made it the size of the aquarium stand, and as you can see, I'm using a metal ruler for this, and I clamped it down, and I will then cut along that edge to make a nice straight edge on the foam board. After I cut the foam board to the width I want it, as you can see here, it's the same width as the aquarium stand, then I will cut 3 more pieces to exactly this one. Now I will use my first foam board and make marks on the second foam board that I'm going to use, and this will then be my template, the first foam board that I have cut out, and I will do that for all 3 pieces of foam board that I'm using. As you can see here, there's the line I drawn, and then I will take my ruler and actually set it down, clamp it, go to the other end where I have another existing line like this, clamp it, and then I will cut it with the you can use an X-Acto knife or box cutter or something like that to cut it. Make sure it's a real nice sharp brand new blade in the knife. Next, I sanded down all the edges that I cut a little bit so they're a little cleaner, and I'll explain why. But so I just have a sanding block with a fine grit sandpaper and touched up all 3 pieces of the foam board. Since the foam board is not as long as the aquarium stand, I had to cut an additional small piece off of an extra piece of foam board to finish up the full length of the foam board to match that of the aquarium length. And this is something I've done before with other aquariums, so it's nothing new. Next, take the 2 pieces of your foam board, place them together, and you can use some masking tape. Any masking tape will do. It just to hold the 2 pieces together. And I did 3 pieces of foam board, so therefore I had to make 3 of these exactly all the same as you see in the picture. Next, after cutting all 3 pieces of the foam board, I put tape on. This is called double back carpet tape. It's a thin tape that's sticky on both sides. You can buy it at any hardware store. It's called carpet tape. You put it down on the foam board. This is so I can join all 3 pieces of the foam board together so they don't be slipping apart, so they can't slip apart. And you do that for each foam board. Then you put the foam board on top and it will stick to the carpet tape, as you see here. Once all 3 pieces of the foam board are cut to size, I taped them all together, as you can see, and there will be one more step that I will do. Now I'm going to trim the foam board to actually match the aquarium size, not the stand size. And the reason I'm using 3 pieces is because, as you can see, the tank isn't quite level. And we need to keep that aquarium as level as possible so it doesn't warp and then snap and crack the glass. Remember, these aren't real expensive aquariums, so they must remain rigid and very, very flat on the stand. And these particular stands are not that flat, so the foam board will help when you place the tank on it to let the tank settle in flat. Long time ago, a company called Oceanics used to make tanks that had a special plastic, and they literally said that if you put a nail underneath that aquarium, that the plastic would just form around the nail so the tank would not break. Unfortunately, we do not have tanks made of plastic like that anymore, so we have to use something. I like using this black foam board because when you cut it, it's black and you don't see it with the black rim around the aquarium. Plus, like I said, I've used it on other tanks and it has held up for years and years and years. So nothing to worry about there. So once the 3 pieces of foam board are together with the double back carpet tape, I take a square and I draw a little line, as you can see, just cutting off a little bit of the edge with all 3 pieces together. That way, not one's a little longer than the other, not one is going to be off. It'll look real nice when you cut them all 3 together. Like I said before, use a very sharp knife for this and you'll have less problems of cutting through all 3 of the foam board. It's not very hard at all. It's not a hard material, so it's quite easy. And in this photo, it shows you how uneven the foam board is, even though I tried to cut it as good as I could. But once I cut all 3 pieces, it's going to look a lot neater and cleaner, and it's going to be the same size as the aquarium bottom. In this photo, it shows you how nice and square the foam board is, and all 3 pieces line up together. A little bit of sanding on these foam boards will go a long way to make them uniform. So you can sand it a little bit, but like I said, everything's black. Even the foam inside is black, so you don't have to paint anything or do any more than just cut it. And now I'm going to show you the stand itself about leveling it. So the first thing you want to do is level out the stand in the X and Y direction and make sure it's as super level and stable as you can get it. Now remember, it's not as flat as you think, and therefore that's why we are using the foam board to take up that unevenness. And here's a photo of the Y direction, and it is perfectly flat. You want to make sure it stays that way. Now the next thing we are going to do after we make sure it's flat is we are going to put that same double back carpet tape onto the stand. I'll show you what I mean. This is the top of the stand, and now I put 2 strips of double back carpet tape on the ends. This is going to hold the foam board in place. So once you put the foam board on, make sure it's lined up correctly. You'll see it's a little smaller than the stand itself, the foam board will be. But this is now to hold the foam board, so when you put the aquarium on, the foam board doesn't slide on the stand. And then you got to lift up the tank and you got to rearrange it. So now, once you have this double back carpet tape on, you will now apply your foam board on top of the top surface here with the double back tape. Once the foam board is down and you make sure it's stuck down, look at how nice the edge look, because I cut all three at once. And of course, put your leveler on it and double check. Does it look level? Does it look out of level? Make sure you check once again your X and Y levels. Of course, I cannot stress this enough to make sure everything is exactly level, and your three pieces of foam board. I use three. Could you get by with two? Maybe you could. I use three because I want to make sure if that tank settles, that it will settle flat. And as you notice, I wrote the word top on it, so I know this was the top of the foam board that would be facing next to the aquarium bottom. And because all the foam board has been taped together with that double back tape plus the tape that's on the stand, it's not going to go anywhere when you try to slide the heavy aquarium on top of here. This is the stand that you buy for the aquarium, which of course I bought at PetSmart. I think during Christmas you can buy this with about 50% off or $25 off or something like that. They usually have a sale. Unfortunately, these tanks go real fast during Christmas time, the holidays. But as you can see, look how nice the foam board looks. Now, any unevenness that the aquarium stand has, even though the stand is level, the very top of that stand is uneven, as I showed you in previous photos. The tank now will not twist and crack and prevent the tank from leaking. In my next series, I'm going to show you what I do to the aquarium, which is what I do to all my aquariums. Besides cleaning them, I will silicone it before I use it. And it looks like it's an okay tank. You know, the Aqueon tank, I guess you get what you pay for. It doesn't cost hundreds of dollars, but it is going to be a goldfish tank. It will have a plenum, so I will make a plenum, and it will have a canister filter with BCB bags in it, which I showed you in previous videos of the F-zone canister I'm going to be using on it. Everything, all the tubing and everything is going to be mounted on the side of the aquarium, because that way you can look at the aquarium from a frontal view, as you see here, and then you can look at the aquarium through the glass through the grate room. That way you can see the aquarium from both sides, so therefore the aquarium will not have a back to it, and everything will be placed on the right hand side. All the tubing and airline tubing that will go to the plenum. I will have a bubbler because goldfish will benefit from the extra oxygen. The lighting system will be a Fluval 3.0 36-inch lighting system. I will probably have it on full blast because I'll be putting some plants in there for the goldfish to eat. And if I do get any algae growth, the goldfish will eat it, because this is something where I want them to, like, you know, this is kind of like if you could think of it as a miniature pond out in the Lanai, because our summers are warm enough where I think this will look pretty nice once it has goldfish in it to take the temperature. And of course, this is the right side of the aquarium where all the tubes will go. And look how nice and neat all the cuts are, because you do your finish cutting with all three boards together. And now the weight of that aquarium is going to push everything down. Once it gets water in it, make sure it's level again. Okay, I can't stress that enough. Leveling out these real cheap aquariums is extremely important, so you don't come up with problems in the future. Anyhow, my next video will be on the tank itself, what I do to fix the tank, and as each preceding video will go on, I will show you how I hook up the plenum. I'll do the plenum for you. We'll go step by step. And I'm trying to keep things cheaper with this aquarium than the other aquarium. And if I need a top off, then I will make my own top off. I won't go buy something out there that's expensive. I'll use a container, or I'll use maybe even a 10-gallon aquarium underneath it and fill it full of water and just buy a top off system that goes in the tank to top it off automatically with a 10-gallon aquarium. And inside the aquarium, I could put floater plants or whatever I want. Anyhow, since it's going to be outside, that is my choices of what I want to do, because I'm going to make it like a pond aquarium. Actually, the plants I'm going to use in it are lilies, and because any plant that you put in there, goldfish are going to want to eat. So I will put plants in there like an Acris or Hornworth that the goldfish will eat, even duckweed or something, and let them eat a lot of plants. Because I've had goldfish that lived over 15 to 17 years, and they're basically 98% of what they ate was plant matter and algae, and they lived that long. So this is what this aquarium is going to be. I wanted to do this video so all you will get an idea on how to put one of these stands together correctly. And definitely the foam board does come in handy. It looks cosmetically nicer than just using like a white styrofoam or something like that. Because if you try to spray paint white styrofoam, it will melt from the paint when you spray it on. So anyhow, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and till next time, happy fish keeping.